anything else anyway. What an unfortunate turn of fate. But of course. Will do. Be gone. Will do. Be gone. What a mess. I want to serve. Anything. Be gone. But of course. Will do. Was that you? Or if only you knew what a way.
Hello all, Revan619 here. How the devil are you? And I hope you're all having a fantastic day. After looking at Ablard yesterday, today we will be looking at Idira. Idira is a very interesting companion that can be built for either heavy support or heavy damage, and a little mixture of both on both scenarios. Her gear is not going to change too much between the two builds because there's quite an efficient way to actually set up her loadout. So we're going to look at more of her end game sort of loadout, and then we'll go over some of the options that you have, and obviously the two builds I have. I have one focusing on buffs, like I said, going into Biomancy, then one focusing on damage, which is going into Pyromancy. So I like to give her the Ethereal Visor because you do 50% additional damage when you have maximum health, and because of I always go into Bounty Hunter on both builds, you're always going to have more than maximum health. Vortex Pendant, the wearer gains 5 willpower each time they choose an ally of themselves as a target ability. Because of Spirit Drape, we're going to have 0 AP buff for the first turn, so every additional turn that she gets from Bounty Hunter, or Bring It Down, or Finest Hour, all of her buffs are going to cost 0 during the first round. I like to use Psychic Body Glove because it's fairly useful light armor, and you can get some dodge bonus from it. You can increase her strength and then go into Psyker's Breastplate, but I find that better to go on other characters, which is why I don't use it on Idira, but if you really want to pump PR, that is a way you can do it. I also throw in Chains of Domination. This is because this is the more of the damage dealing variants, which is what I've built for here. Whenever the wearer kills an enemy, they receive +5 stack bonus to willpower. So this is really going to get up your damage for buffs and damage. She needs the Warp Conductor's Glove, which is her unique ones that when she triggers perils, that she'll get +1 psi rating. By having Heretic 2, which you can do very easily, yeah, you're going to proc that quite a lot. I throw in Cloak of Hatred because every area attack I do with her is pretty much coming from the Sanctified Staff, which scales heavily with Resolve. So the way this one works is 5 plus the Psyker's Resolve is the power level of the staff. It's very easy to pump Word of the Emperor up to get your resolve through the damn roof. Obviously using Air of Authority is going to help, so having an offset to buff going to do some really good things. The other weapon that I use in her is Attachment from Death, which is basically her willpower bonus comes to buff for allies. So when you're damaging, you switch over to this staff, and then when you switch back to this, so during allies' turn, yeah, your stacked willpower will increase their dodge. I've also thrown Psycho Sweatwear, which just increases their dodge, but you could easily swap that out for some other boots. I'm just going to throw up on screen here some of the really high damage you can do. Because of Emperor's Wrath from Sanctified Staff, yeah, it can vary damage. You can see you can go from anywhere from 300 to 20k, and this is all turn 1. So you can be pumping out these big 20k AoEs, which will then half damage 10k to someone else with Backdraft, and then because of Pain Channeling, it will send excess damage to a new target. This will happen to everyone that's inside your area of effect, and the area of effect ability of Emperor's Wrath is actually quite big. So yeah, you've got a 3x3 grid when you use this ability, and everyone adjacent to the target's point suffers from 1 to 1+ psi rating times Psycho Staff power level damage. Damage dealt by this attack to allies is reduced by the target's resolve. So you can try not to explode allies, but there's a lot of other stuff you're going to do with this. when you go with the heroic version, yeah, it just increases the damage further. And it also increases the damage that they take until the end of combat. So even if somehow something could survive, it would then start taking more damage. So let's have a look at these builds. So this is the more biomancy focused one, which is going to be heavily buffing here. So you get biomancy here for Iron Arm. You can take invigorate or enfeeble, depending what you want to do, which is why you then take confirm immunity or deterioration. The key abilities you're still going to take across both builds is going to be Psychic Barrage, Second Sight, Subtle Manipulation. These are very good. When you go into the pyromancy version, we're also going to take pain channeling and backdraft, but we'll have a look at that over there. Bounty Hunter is because obviously with Save of the Kill and Sense powers we get early on, you'll be able to loop a lot of Word of the Emperor, so you'll be able to resolve stack like crazy. This version will go into warp speed quite early and then hot on the trail to get extra turns, and you can use stuff like Metabolic Overcharge and Prescience do quite a lot, or you can use Mind Bond. Because you can stack your own willpower through the roof, you can then just pump that into allies with Mind Bond, but I prefer Prescience. You can also use like Perfect Timing as well to sort of jump turn queues. There's quite a few exploits you can use with that. One of the things early on, if you want to go for damage, you can take Tide of Excellence, or if you take Weak Body, Weak Soul, you can start using Expose Weakness to lower enemy stats, and this is very useful for your looping turns. If we look over to the damage version, this is the version that I've gone into on this run. So we pick up Pyromancy instead of Biomancy early on. This means that we want Pain Channeling, and we also want Backdraft, which we take here and here. This will allow us to do big AoEs. So even our staff attacks will benefit from this. So when you use like the lightning arc, it will ping, 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 and channel between loads of things, and it will send all that excessive damage around. We'll be able to get Psychic Assault early, so we'll be able to get a nice stun in there. This will also combine with Aftershock, so they'll take extra damage early on. When you get the Sanctified Staff in Act 2, you can also use Demon Tool to set enemies on fire. So if you're using like a Pyromancer or something, you can then use that for some big explosions. This version you can choose to either go into Mind Bond, Precognition, or Shield of the Emperor and Hammer of the Emperor. Depends what you want to do, but it depends on how hard you want to go with that damage. And because you're still going to be using Spirit Drape for those 0 AP buffs, you're going to be getting a lot out of this. So yeah, Idira, absolutely perfect companion for either doing damage or for doing support, but you've always got to remember that you run the risk of her sometimes exploding. Some people think she's the best thing in the game and the best companion, other people think she's the worst. Depending on when those self-destructs happen, depends on how it's going to change your experience. I like to live dangerously, so I keep Idira in my party. I use her for my awareness check, which is one of the most important ones. You can build her differently if you want her to go into, say, Lord Warp, but at the end of the day, it's up to you how you do that and what you use for your own team combinations. I'm going to throw in a little bit more montage of Idira hitting a full barrel at the end to go in with that sort of progression from the early on. But yeah, no, absolutely fantastic member in the party.
Future on the battlefield. Will do. Anything else? What an unfortunate turn of fate. What is this foreboding? Anything else? Will do. What a mess!
The scriptural prognosis is favorable. Running binary override. Explorers know one route. Forward.
Through pain and hardship, we prove our devotion.
But of course. We'll do very well. Not this scryer's job.